if you have ever, like, really wanted to witness the exact moment, a human brain just completely short circuits, completely forgets the entire concept of logic,
Yeah.
and descends into just pure, unadulterated survival mode.
Oh, it's terrifying.
It is. All you have to do is put a group of 20-somethings in neon swimwear, right? Take away their cell phones, and introduce the absolute trauma that is a post-Casa Amor recoupling.
Literally a psychological crime scene.
Completely. Babes, welcome back. And of course, good morning, good evening, good night, good day. We love you. We see you. And babes, we are so happy you're here in the studio with us for this deep dive.
We are so happy. And honestly, before we get out the caution tape and like the emotional fingerprint dust to deal with this villa, we have to talk about the absolute most important discovery of the summer. I am holding one right now.
Yes, the wine slushie.
A wine slushie.
The Snark Squad already knows that wine slushies are officially on deck. And babes, these continue to be, I mean, truly one of the greatest inventions known to mankind.
You really are. I don't care if it's Tuesday morning or Saturday night.
Right. There is just something profoundly chaotic, but also deeply elegant about drinking frozen wine out of a massive goblet. Like, it feels like you're at a luxury resort, but also like you might make a terrible decision and text your ex in about 45 minutes.
Oh, definitely. It's the brain freeze that really grounds you, though. Like, I went with the peach mango frosé blend today, and let me tell you, it is freezing the roof of my mouth in just the best way possible.
It's a vibe.
It's a very specific vibe. It basically says, I'm a sophisticated adult who enjoys viticulture, but I also want my beverage to have the exact texture of a 7-Eleven Slurpee.
Pure chaos. It's so good. And speaking of chaos, before we came into the studio today, we stopped at a sports bar. And listen, I am not historically a sports girly. I do not understand the offsides rule.
You really don't.
I don't. I don't know what a holding penalty is. But babes, the vibes during the World Cup are utterly unmatched. Like, we walked into this dark, sticky-floored bar at 2 in the afternoon, and the energy was just electric.
It really is magic. I mean, we watched the Canada versus South Africa game, and the sheer decibel level in that room was staggering.
My ears are still ringing.
Right. You walk in as a complete stranger, and within 4 minutes, you are literally high-fiving a man named Gary in a vintage jersey just because somebody kicked a ball into a net.
Gary was so hyped.
Gary was losing his mind. But sports bars during a major tournament, they become this weird, beautiful, utopian society where nobody cares about your background or your job. They only care if you are screaming at the referee on the television.
It's basically reality TV for straight men. That's all it is.
Exactly.
It has villains, it has underdogs, it has dramatic pacing. Like when that one Canadian player got a yellow card, which I am still convinced was completely unwarranted based purely on vibes, the entire bar gasped, like somebody had just thrown a drink in a Real Housewife's face.
It was so dramatic.
I am officially becoming a sports person against my will, I think.
I mean, you were aggressively yelling at the screen. I literally saw you slam your hand on the table when South Africa almost scored in the second half. You are fully indoctrinated.
I was so stressed. The tribalism just takes over your brain chemistry. It really does. But before we get too deep into our new athletic personas, because it is a brand new week, it is time for the weekly love horoscopes for the Snark Squad.
Yes. Grab your slushies, babes.
Because the stars are feeling particularly messy this week. I'll take the first half of the zodiac.
Go for it. Destroy them.
All right, Aries. This week, your ruling planet Mars is telling you to absolutely, under no circumstances, send that third follow-up text. They saw it. Put the phone down and go outside.
Harsh but necessary.
Taurus. A situationship from 3 months ago is going to slide into your DMs with a simple, hey, do not fall for the trap. It's just Mercury retrograde testing your boundaries.
Stay strong, Taurus.
Gemini. You are going to experience a massive surge of main character energy on Thursday.
Yeah.
Wear the bold outfit, but please try not to accidentally flirt with your barista so hard that you have to find a new coffee shop.
We've all been there.
We have. Cancer, you are feeling emotional this week. You might cry over a TikTok of a golden retriever. Let it out, babe, but don't text your toxic ex seeking comfort.
Okay, I will take over from here, Leo.
Let's hear it.
The spotlight is on you, as always, but this week somebody is going to challenge your authority in a group chat. Assert dominance with a perfectly timed meme, but don't burn the bridge.
Ooh, group chat politics.
It's serious.
You're going-
Virgo, your overanalyzing is reaching a fever pitch. You're going to spend 45 minutes trying to decode the punctuation in a hinge message. The period just means they hit the spacebar twice. Stand down.
I feel attacked.
Libra, you are seeking balance, but you are going to find yourself drawn to the absolute most chaotic person at a party this weekend. Enjoy the ride, but do not give them your real number.
Fake number only.
Exactly. Scorpio, an old secret is going to resurface, or you're going to accidentally uncover someone else's. Keep it in the vault. The drama is just not worth it this week.
Okay, Sagittarius, you are craving adventure, which means you are dangerously close to booking a one-way flight to Greece with a person you met on Tuesday. At least pack travel insurance.
Please pack it.
Capricorn, work is stressing you out, and you are going to project that stress onto your romantic life by treating a date like a literal job interview. Stop asking them where they see themselves in 5 years and just eat the mozzarella sticks.
Let the mozzarella sticks heal you.
Aquarius, you are feeling rebellious. You might abruptly change your hair color or ghost someone because they use the wrong form of their disc. Have some grace, but also, live your truth.
Grammar is important.
It is. And finally, Pisces, you are living in a complete delusion this week. You have constructed an entire fantasy future with a person who held the door for you at the grocery store. Wake up, babe.
The accuracy is honestly terrifying.
Right. I mean, the stars do not lie.
Yeah.
Now, let's wrap up this opening chat with the highs and lows of our Sunday. I need the full report. What was your high?
Okay, so my high was glorious.
Ah.
I finally managed to execute the perfect Sunday reset. I did the laundry, I meal prepped, and I lit a candle that smells like mahogany and good decisions. I just felt like I had my entire life together. The vibe was immaculate.
I love that for you. So what was the low?
The low was that I immediately ruined that vibe by deciding to go down a rabbit hole of Zillow listings for houses I absolutely cannot afford in neighborhoods I don't even live in, which induced a mild existential crisis about my financial future. So that was fun. And my funny moment was watching my cat completely misjudge a jump onto the kitchen counter and slowly slide down the cabinet doors like a cartoon character.
That is incredible. I wish you got that on video.
I really do. What about you?
My high was ordering a massive spread of sushi, rolling myself up in a blanket like a human burrito, and doing absolutely nothing for 4 hours. Pure bliss.
That sounds amazing.
The low was that I slightly ruined the vibe when I realized I forgot to take the trash out on Friday, and the apartment was starting to smell faintly of, regret and old garlic.
Disgusting.
Yeah, not great. And the funny moment, I tried to be athletic after the sports bar yesterday and attempted to throw a piece of popcorn into my own mouth. Completely missed, and it landed directly in my wine slushie.
No!
Yes, where it instantly dissolved into a terrible, salty mush.
A literal tragedy.
Truly. But babes, enough about our weekend. Let's get into the villa, because these people are making decisions that deserve a massive group intervention.
You really do.
I mean, we are breaking down Love Island USA Season 8, Episode 23, and our mission is serious. We've been watching all the YouTube recaps, reading the Reddit threads, seeing what GT and Anonymous T and all the reality guys are saying. But we are serving it up with our own messy, unfiltered opinions. Because we aren't just recapping the drama. We are unpacking the complex human psychology, the toxic relationship dynamics, and just the severe consequences of isolation that we see in the fallout of this Casa Amor Recoupling.
We are looking at a real-time behavioral landscape that is incredibly murky. I mean, when you isolate people, you strip away their outside support systems, you sleep-deprive them slightly, and force them into intense romantic competition.
It's a lot.
It is. You aren't just watching a dating show. You are watching a psychological pressure cooker.
So let's jump right into the deep end. We have to start with the most visceral, loud, and honestly agonizing reaction of the night. The immediate aftermath of Casey returning to the villa from Casa Amor with a new girl, Titi.
Or Trinity, depending on who you ask on Twitter.
Right. Some fans call her Tiara or Trinity. But he walks in with her, holding her hand, leaving his original partner, Aniya, standing there, completely single, vulnerable, and exposed on national television.
To really understand the weight of this moment, we have to look closely at Aniya's physical reaction, because it's not just a sad face, it's a complete systemic breakdown.
Yeah, it was hard to watch.
She is crying uncontrollably. She is physically falling to the floor in the soul ties area. She is hyperventilating. And she repeatedly tells the other girls that she feels, quote, stupid, and that she just wants to go home.
All the commentators were deeply struck by how intense this was. Like, she's literally brought to her knees. And I feel like a casual viewer might look at this and say, Wow, she's really having a meltdown over a guy she's known for 3 weeks. Relax.
Right. People are so quick to judge.
But when we actually analyze the environment, this isn't just a broken heart.
No, it goes much deeper than that.
Oh.
This is the physical manifestation of public humiliation. Let's think about the context here. Aniya had a safety option in the villa. She had Carl.
Sweet Carl.
Sweet, safe Carl. By all accounts, Carl was kind, he was safe, and he was deeply invested in her. But she dumped Carl. She sent him packing because she took a massive leap of faith on KC. She bet all her chips on KC.
Think about that. Like, the isolation of this villa is like being on a deep-sea dive. You are totally cut off from the surface world. You don't have your friends, your phone, your music.
Yeah.
Your entire reality, your entire source of dopamine and security gets tied to this one person.
Exactly.
And when they betray you and bring someone else back, it is like being yanked to the surface too fast.
Yeah.
The emotional nitrogen bubbles in your blood.
Yeah.
The logic is completely gone. You get the psychological bends. It is literal physiological trauma.
The bends is the perfect metaphor for this. Because what she's experiencing isn't just sadness, it is profound shame.
Shame is so heavy.
It is. Sadness is an internal feeling of loss, but shame is an external feeling of exposure. She feels completely laid bare. Like GT pointed out in their recap, Aniya is directing all her rage at Casey, but a huge portion of that emotional explosion is because she has egg on her face. She made a decision she probably knew deep down was risky. She dropped a sure thing. And the absolute worst case scenario played out in front of millions of people. And more importantly, in front of the peers she has to live with.
The physiological response to shame is wild. Your body literally tries to make itself smaller, which is why she drops to the floor. But the split-screen dynamic happening while she is hyperventilating is what absolutely enrages me.
Oh, the fire pit scene?
Yes. Well, Aniya is quite literally melting down in soul ties. Over at the fire pit, we have Casey, his new girl Titi, and their friends Corbin and Parmita. And what are they doing?
They are laughing, they are cracking jokes. Parmita says something to the effect of, they're acting like they've been married after 2 days. They are actively framing Aniya's reaction as dramatic.
It's so gross.
They're minimizing a 3-week connection to make themselves feel better. Casey's main defense is that he built a stronger connection in 3 days with Titi than he did in 3 weeks with Aniya. And he claims he is avoiding talking to Aniya because her friends have created a, quote, hostile environment.
A hostile environment. She is hyperventilating on the floor. But I have to bring up this detail I saw from Anonymous Tea that just blew my mind. They pointed out that in the real world, outside of this villa, Casey works in healthcare. He is a certified nursing assistant, a CNA.
Which changes the entire lens of his behavior.
I cannot get past it. A CNA is a profession that requires a baseline level of empathy, incredible bedside manner, and the ability to comfort people in extreme distress.
Right.
CNAs are holding the hands of scared patients, dealing with grieving families, providing literal physical care, and yet we are watching this man display the absolute coldness of a sociopath, while a woman he was romantically involved with hyperventilates 20 feet away.
Right.
Like, how do you reconcile that? Is he just evil?
I mean, it creates a chilling portrait of compartmentalization.
Yeah.
In the real world, as a CNA, his professional identity is tied to caregiving. But in the Love Island villa, the environment dictates the behavior.
It's all about survival.
Exactly. His identity in the villa is tied to survival, ego preservation, and social dominance. To walk over to Aniya and comfort her would require Casey to admit fault and to sit with guilt. Guilt is an incredibly uncomfortable emotion, and human beings will do almost anything to avoid it. So instead of feeling guilt, he leans heavily into ego defense.
He builds a fortress.
Exactly that. He surrounds himself with a literal echo chamber at the fire pit. By laughing with Corbin and Titi, he is creating a sonic barrier against Aniya's crying. If the group is laughing, it means Aniya is just being crazy or dramatic.
Right, because if she's crazy, he didn't do anything wrong.
Right. By labeling her as dramatic, it completely absolves him of any responsibility for her pain. He outsources his conscience to the group.
Tell me I'm right so I don't have to feel bad. That is so dark, but it makes complete sense. And then you have Corbin acting as what everyone online is brilliantly calling a bone collector.
Corbin is so messy for this. So messy. Corbin literally scurries over to the Casa Amor boys, Caleb and Dylan, to gather dirt on Aniya. He finds out that Aniya was allegedly kissing Carl every morning before she sent him home. And what does Corbin do? He runs this intel straight back to Casey.
It is the final piece of armor Casey needs.
Right.
It's a classic defensive maneuver. It allows him to completely rewrite the narrative.
Totally.
He can now say, well, she was kissing someone else, therefore I am the victim here, or at the very least, we are equally to blame. It completely erases the power dynamic and the specific humiliation of Aniya standing up there alone at the recoupling. He uses a technicality, her kissing Carl, to justify his total lack of empathy.
The mental gymnastics are Olympic level. So Aniya's stuck in this house. People are noting that Aniya explicitly says she wants to go home. And part of you thinks, yes, protect your peace and leave.
Get out of there. Right. But while Aniya's public execution is happening out in the open, there is a much quieter, deeply insidious assassination happening in the next room. If Aniya's ego was shattered in an instant, we need to look at how someone's reality can be slowly warped over time.
Which brings us to the absolute tragedy of Melanie.
The do as I say, not as I do paradox. This is blowing my mind. Melanie is on the floor with Aniya, comforting her, being an amazing friend. And the advice Melanie gives Aniya is nothing short of profound.
It is PhD-level relationship advice. She tells Aniya that Casey is a little boy. She reminds her that there is a whole world of vastly better men outside of this manufactured villa. And she uses this incredible phrase, warning Aniya against playing Build-A-Bear with a man.
Build-A-Bear. I mean, put it on a t-shirt.
Seriously.
Let's really think about what that means. When you go to Build-A-Bear, you are handed an empty shell. You have to stuff it with fluff. You have to put the little fabric heart inside it. You have to add the voice box. Melanie is saying, do not date a man who is an empty shell.
Don't do it.
Do not spend your life stuffing him with basic decency, installing emotional intelligence into his chest, and teaching him how to communicate. It is exhausting. It is brilliant advice.
It is brilliant, but almost everyone watching every recap, they all point out the screaming, tragic irony of this moment. Melanie is dispensing this flawless advice while actively returning to her own toxic situation with Sincere.
The irony is physically painful to watch. Because what did Sincere do in Casa Amor?
He was a menace.
He was wildly disrespectful. He wasn't just exploring a connection. He was humping, kissing, and grinding on a new girl named Amora in bed. And yet Melanie takes him back.
We have to break down their confrontation because it is a masterclass in watching a toxic cycle spin.
Walk us through it.
So Melanie finds out about the grinding and kissing. As she confronts him, she is visibly frustrated, and she tells him that he uses the word sorry as a band-aid. She says, you do the thing, you say sorry, but you never change the action. She has a crystal clear, lucid read on his behavior. She knows exactly what the scam is.
She sees the trap. She's literally pointing at the trap, but she still steps right into it. And Sincere's defense is textbook weaponized incompetence and deflection. In his confessional, away from Melanie, he actually complains about her.
The audacity.
He says it's tiring because he's, quote, the bad guy if he does something and the bad guy if he doesn't.
The victim card is played flawlessly. It is an insidious tactic. He completely ignores his own boundary-breaking actions, the physical intimacy with Amora, and instead focuses entirely on Melanie's reaction to those actions, framing her as impossible to please.
Wow.
This shifts the focus from his transgression to her unreasonable expectations. It puts her on the defensive.
So why does a smart woman stay? I mean, if Melanie is intelligent enough to articulate the Build-A-Bear concept, and she knows Sincere is using sorry as a weaponized Band-Aid, why does she stay? I refuse to believe she just has low self-esteem. It has to be deeper.
It is much deeper. The core psychological mechanisms at play here are cognitive dissonance and the sunk cost fallacy, basically acting together like a pair of emotional handcuffs.
Handcuffs is right.
Cognitive dissonance is the agonizing mental discomfort you feel when your beliefs about yourself don't match your actions. Melanie believes she is a strong, smart woman who demands respect. Yet her actions, staying with a man who grinds on other women, contradict that belief.
And your brain cannot handle that contradiction.
Your brain will do anything to resolve that tension. To fix the dissonance, she either has to leave Sincere, which requires admitting she was fooled, or she has to convince herself that Sincere is actually worth it and his apologies are genuine.
Which brings in the sunk cost fallacy. It's like buying a terrible stock. You bought stock in Sincere at $100 a share. He goes to Casa Amor and acts a fool, and now the stock is worth 2 cents.
Exactly.
You know it's a bad investment.
Right.
But if you sell the stock and walk away, the loss becomes real. It's on paper. You have to admit you made a terrible financial decision. So instead of selling, you keep holding on to it, hoping it rebounds to $100, just completely bankrupting your soul in the process. She's invested weeks of emotional energy and vulnerability into this guy.
And in the hyper-compressed timeline of reality TV, 3 weeks feels like 3 years. To walk away now means admitting that huge emotional investment was a total waste. Paradoxically, admitting she was wrong about Sincere hurts her ego more in the short term than staying with him and enduring his bad behavior. She is building her own trap to avoid the embarrassment of admitting she walked into one.
It's crazy because she actually tried to use another guy, Corey, as a test to see if she could find a spark elsewhere, but she was so deeply tethered to Sincere's orbit that she couldn't break free.
And Sincere knows this. He provides just enough intermittent reinforcement, a compliment here, a dramatic return there, to keep her hooked on the potential of what they could be rather than the reality of what they are.
Okay, we've talked about the loud trauma with Aniya and the quiet tragedy with Melanie. Let's pivot to the silent killers. Because overt bad behavior is easy to spot. We all see Sincere being messy. But covert manipulation can make a person feel like they're literally losing their mind. We need to talk about Zach and Kaida.
This is a critical pivot. Because Zach's behavior is deeply alarming precisely because it flies under the radar.
Let me set the scene for the Snark Squad. Zach returns from Casa Amor single, essentially choosing to stay with Kaida. But he casually admits to her that he was kissing other girls outside of the mandatory challenges.
Messy.
But here is the detail that made every single person online hit the roof. Zach is in bed with Kaida. They're being intimate. The lights are off. And in the heat of that intensely vulnerable moment, he looks at her and says, "I love you."
A massive, monumental escalation.
Huge. But then, later, he goes into the confessional room, softly away from Kaida, and tells the camera with a literal smirk on his face that it was a joke. He claims he was joking because they aren't officially boyfriend and girlfriend yet.
This is where we have to be incredibly precise with our language. A lot of people analyzing this do not hesitate to label this behavior as textbook love bombing and emotional manipulation. And it's vital to understand the mechanics of why they're using those heavy terms. Zach is manufacturing an artificial peak. Saying "I love you" during physical intimacy is a biological hack. It is designed to flood Kaida's brain with oxytocin, the bonding hormone, and dopamine, the reward hormone. He is binding her to him biochemically.
He is creating a synthetic high. It's like a slot machine. If a slot machine paid out a little bit every time, it gets boring. If it never pays out, you walk away. But if it pays out a massive jackpot randomly, like saying "I love you" in the dark, you will pull that lever until you die.
That is exactly how intermittent reinforcement works. But by simultaneously reminding her and the audience that they aren't official, he maintains absolute, terrifying power.
It's all about control.
It keeps her off balance. He can pull the rug out from under her at any moment. If she starts asking for commitment, he can say, "Whoa, why are you so attached? I told you it was a joke. We aren't even official." It's a control tactic. He extracts all the benefits of her total devotion without having to offer a single ounce of actual security in return.
Okay, let me push back for a second just to play devil's advocate. I could hear people saying, come on, these are 20-somethings on a reality dating show. They're wearing microphones and swimsuits 24/7. Are we being too quick to use clinical terms like manipulative for people who are just dumb, immature, and bad at dating? Like, is Zach a calculated mastermind or just a guy who doesn't know how to handle his feelings?
It's a fair pushback, and we always have to be careful about armchair diagnosing. We aren't diagnosing him with a personality disorder. We're describing a specific pattern of behavior. The line between being immature and being manipulative lies in the intent and the awareness of power.
Break that down. How do we prove the intent?
Well, immaturity is fumbling a conversation, saying the wrong thing in the heat of the moment, and feeling genuine remorse when you realize you hurt someone. Manipulation is what Zach does in the confessional. He smirks. He articulates clearly that he knows exactly what he did. He literally says, "I told her I love her as a joke because we aren't official."
Ugh, the smirk.
That demonstrates a high-level awareness of the power dynamic. He knows the weight of those words, and he is consciously choosing to weaponize them to keep her on a string. Whether he learned this behavior intentionally by reading a pickup artist forum, or it's an unconscious defense mechanism, is almost irrelevant to the impact it has on Kaida. The behavior itself functions as manipulation.
That is such a clarifying distinction. Immaturity lacks awareness, but manipulation relies on it. And speaking of relying on things, there's a fascinating side note about Bryce and Trinity that perfectly illustrates another psychological defense mechanism. They're constantly gossiping about Casey and Aniya. They sit around dissecting Casey's terrible behavior like they are scholars.
There's reflection through comparison.
Yes. It's the classic look over there tactic.
Yeah.
It's like they are pointing at a burning building and saying, look at that fire. Don't look at the fact that I was kissing people in Casa Amor. Casey's the real villain. They use Casey's loud, overt cruelty to make their own quiet, covert bad behavior look saintly by comparison.
It's a very common group dynamic in closed systems. You find a scapegoat whose sins are louder than yours, and you bond over judging them. It provides an illusion of moral high ground, keeping the spotlight safely off your own transgressions.
So the producers are sitting in the control room watching all of this unfold. They have Aniya hyperventilating, Melanie trapped in cognitive dissonance, Zach deploying biochemical warfare on Kada, and Bryce scapegoating Casey.
It's a mess.
They have a pressure cooker that is just whistling. The tension is unbearable. So what do the producers do? Do they send in a licensed therapist? Do they give everyone a spa day? Absolutely not. They send in a Grammy-winning superstar and a whole lot of frosting.
The arrival of Megan Thee Stallion.
Megan Thee Stallion surprises the villa. This is her second year appearing on the show, which is just an incredible flex by the producers. She brings swimwear, she hypes everyone up, and she hosts the Hot Girl Bakery Challenge.
The best challenge.
For those who haven't seen it, this is a boys versus girls competition. It involves musical chairs, but instead of chairs, you sit on cakes. There is aggressive twerking, like Kenzie literally drops into a full split immediately. And then, crucially, there is a pie-in-the-face segment.
We have to look at this challenge not just as a silly reality TV game, but as a highly deliberate psychological tool deployed by the producers. It is a sanctioned purge.
A sanctioned purge. I love that.
These islanders have been isolated, lied to, gaslit, humiliated, and then forced to share a bedroom with the exact people who hurt them. Social norms in the villa dictate that they have to keep the peace. They can't just walk up and punch someone. The producers know this repressed anger is toxic for the cast and, frankly, boring television if it just simmers indefinitely. So they create a socially acceptable medium for violence.
They give them permission, sanctioned by Megan Thee Stallion herself, to take a cake and physically smash it into the face of the person who wronged them. And babes, the Islanders do not hold back. We get a play-by-play of these grievances manifesting in heavy frosting. Let's analyze the cake physics.
Okay, first, Dylan cakes Aniya. His stated reason, because she dropped his friend Carl.
Which is fascinating. It shows the Casa Amor boys have formed their own intense loyalties. He is avenging a fallen brother. He's essentially saying, you hurt my boy, I'm going to publicly embarrass you.
Then we have Zach. Zach takes his cake and violently smashes it into Trinity's face. Now, people notice that Zach has this strange, intense, almost irrational dislike for Trinity.
Why? Trinity hasn't done anything directly to Zach.
If we read between the lines, it's highly likely rooted in jealousy. Trinity is coupled up with Bryce. Zach and Bryce have an intensely close bromance to the point where viewers were joking about their constant physical affection. Zach targeting Trinity with a cake is a way to physically assert dominance and symbolically attack the woman who is taking his best friend's attention away from him.
It's territorial. He is marking his territory with baked goods. That is wild. Then we have Sincere. Sincere takes his cake and throws it at Jen. His reasoning, he calls her a fly on the wall, implying she's a non-factor, and says she's brand new, which is hilarious because, as Jen points out, she's been there for 2 entire weeks.
This is Sincere punching down. He knows he is on incredibly thin ice with Melanie. He knows the entire house is tense. If he cakes Melanie, he starts World War III. If he cakes one of the strong Casa boys, he risks a real physical confrontation. So he targets Jen, the perceived weakest link, to participate in the game without taking any real social risk. It's an act of utter cowardice disguised as participation.
He really is a calculating survivor. And then, the main event, Aniya. She gets a massive cake, and she goes straight for Casey. And she doesn't just tap him with it, she aggressively creams him. She pushes it into his face for his disrespect and the humiliation he put her through.
That is the catharsis, the physical release of the shame she experienced on the floor of Soul Ties.
And what's brilliant about this entire segment is Megan Thee Stallion's role in it. She isn't just a host reading off a teleprompter. She actively interacted with them. She acted as the voice of God, the ultimate audience surrogate. At one point, she explicitly tells the men, Casey and Corbin specifically, that there is a way to explore connections with new people without putting the original girls down.
It was a direct face-to-face rebuke of their toxic locker room talk.
Yes. Because Corbin and Casey have been using this pathetic defense that is just guy talk, putting down Aniya to impress the Casa girls. And Megan stands there and says, no, you can be respectful and still explore. It was the validation Aniya and the other girls so desperately needed, delivered by an absolute cultural icon.
When an external authority figure, especially one with the cultural cachet of Megan Thee Stallion, enters a closed system and validates the reality of the victims, it completely shatters the gaslighting bubble that the abusers have been relying on. Casey and Corbin couldn't fall back on their echo chamber at the fire pit anymore. The outside world had spoken, and the outside world said they were wrong.
But Megan didn't just bring cake, catharsis, and life advice. The producers saved their most diabolical, God-complex move for last. She brought a Trojan horse that was about to flip the villa upside down.
The ultimate producer twist.
Let's set the final scene. At the end of the Hot Girl Bakery Challenge, Megan has a final task for Zach and Kenzie. They have to eat their way through a massive cake without using their hands to find a hidden prize. It's messy, it's hilarious. Kenzie pulls something out and thinks it's a candle. But Zach pulls out a heart, and on the heart it reads, "Revenge is sweet."
And Megan makes the announcement, America has been voting.
America voted to bring back their favorite dumped casa boy and girl, the ones who are left single and sent packing. And who walks through the doors? Carl and Amora.
The implications of this are absolutely staggering. Let's look at the immediate visceral reactions of the cast. Aniya, who has been crying, hyperventilating, and begging to go home, suddenly lights up. She shows all her teeth in a massive relieved smile. She sees Carl as her knight in shining armor.
Her safety net has been magically restored. The universe literally handed her a do-over.
But then look at Sincere. He looked physically sick. The blood likely drained from his entire body. Why? Because Amora is walking back in. And Amora holds all the secrets.
She holds the receipts. She is the star witness to his crimes.
Exactly. Sincere has spent the last 24 hours carefully managing Melanie's perception of what happened in Casa Amor. He admitted to some things, but minimized the extent of the kissing, the grinding, the promises he made. He thought the primary witness to his crimes was safely on an airplane back home. Now the star witness has just moved back into his bedroom.
This brings us to a really fascinating concept, which is audience karma.
In a standard enclosed social system, bad behavior can sometimes go unpunished if the perpetrator has enough social power. Casey and Sincere were successfully managing their fallout. They were controlling the narrative. But reality TV introduces a godlike entity, the audience.
We see everything.
Exactly. The producers gave the viewers the power to intervene and punish the islanders who thought they got away with it. By voting in Carl and Amora, the audience acts as an agent of karma. They were saying, we saw what you did in the dark, and we are bringing it into the light. Reality TV is basically the only place where the universe actually punishes the wicked in real time.
It is brilliant cruelty. They don't just punish Sincere, they punish him by giving him false hope that he was safe and then snatching it away. So what happens next? The episode leaves off on a cliffhanger, but we have to speculate based on everything we've unpacked. Will Carl just be used as a rebound by Aniya? Or is it a genuine connection?
That is the tragic variable here. Aniya is operating from a place of profound ego depletion. She was publicly humiliated. Carl represents safety, validation, and a way to save face in front of Casey. It is highly likely she will cling to him not because she is deeply in love with him, but because he is the antidote to her shame. The risk is that once her ego is repaired and she feels secure again, she may realize the fundamental incompatibility that caused her to drop him in the first place, leading to Carl getting hurt all over again.
Oh, that poor guy. He thinks he's walked into a romance, but he might just be a human Band-Aid. And what about Sincere and Melanie? Will Amora blow up their toxic bubble once and for all?
Logically, she should. Amora telling Melanie the unfiltered truth should break the cognitive dissonance. But remember the sunk cost fallacy. Melanie is so deeply invested that she might actually attack Amora to protect Sincere.
Oh, wow.
When people are presented with facts that destroy their worldview, they often double down on the delusion rather than accept the painful truth. Sincere will likely try to discredit Amora, and Melanie may willingly help him do it just to preserve the relationship.
That is terrifying, but probably entirely accurate. Okay, babes, it is time to pivot to the segments. Because we cannot just analyze, we have to judge. Let's start with segment number 1. Shady, snarky, or stupid. I am going to pitch 3 messy moments from this episode, and we have to determine which category they fall into. First moment. Casey laughing at the fire pit while Aniya is crying.
Stupid. It is profoundly stupid. From a purely game theory perspective, if you know you were on a television show that relies on public voting, being overtly cruel to a crying woman is terrible optics. Even if he feels no empathy, he should have faked it just to secure a spot in the villa. It was a stupid, short-sighted move.
I agree, it's stupid. Second moment. Zach telling Kata, I love you as a joke.
That is shady. That is dark-sided Machiavellian shade. It requires premeditation and a complete lack of regard for someone else's emotional well-being. It is the definition of shady behavior.
100% shady. Gives me the creeps. Third moment. Sincere throwing his cake at Jen instead of someone who actually wronged him.
That is snarky, but in a cowardly way. He is trying to be funny and participate in the bit without taking any of the real heat. It's a weak move, but it fits the snarky category perfectly.
All right, moving on to segment 2. The couple stock market. We are acting as emotional brokers right now. whose relationship stock is rising, falling, stable, or completely bankrupt. I'll start. The only stock I see rising right now, weirdly, is Kada. Because if she watches this footage back and dumps Zach, her individual stock goes to the moon.
I will take falling. Melanie and Sincere's stock is in free fall. With Amora back in the house, that relationship is about to hit the Great Depression. The panic selling has begun.
Totally.
For stable, I am going to say Bryce and Trinity. Their stock is stable purely out of mutual delusion. They're so busy deflecting and judging everyone else that they aren't looking at their own glaring issues. They are holding steady on a foundation of sand.
And bankrupt. I mean, it has to be Aniya and Casey. That stock is delisted, the company is dissolved, the CEO is laughing at the fire pit while the building burns.
Completely bankrupt, no returns.
Next segment. Since we are in our sports bar era, World Cup versus Love Island, we are comparing these islanders to sports personalities. Who plays offense?
Amora plays offense. She walked through those doors, ready to ruin Sincere's life. She is a striker.
Who plays defense?
Melanie. She is playing defense for a man who does not deserve it. She is blocking shots that Sincere is taking at his own net.
Who fouls constantly?
Zach.
Yeah.
Emotional fouls, verbal fouls, biochemical fouls. He needs a red card immediately.
Who pretends they're a team player?
Corbin. The bone collector. He acts like he's just looking out for the boys, but really he's just stirring the pot and delivering intel to keep the drama going while his hands look clean.
And who is secretly carrying the whole squad?
Megan Thee Stallion and the producers. They put the team on their back with that cake challenge and saved this season from stalling out.
Absolute legends. Okay, final segment before we wrap up. Hot takes. We each have to fire off our rapid-fire opinions. I'll go first. Episode MVP. Megan Thee Stallion, obviously, for breaking the gaslighting bubble. Biggest red flag. Zach's smirk in the confessional when he admitted to using I love you as a control tactic. It chilled me.
My biggest green flag. Melanie's advice to Aniya. The Build-A-Bear speech was spectacular, even if she can't apply it to herself. Most delusional islander. Sincere for genuinely believing he could grind on someone on national television and just use the word sorry to erase it.
And my bold prediction for the next episode. Aniya is going to kiss Carl within 24 hours, not because she likes him, but strictly to make Casey watch.
I support that prediction. It is messy, and I am here for it.
As we pull back from this today, I mean, what a journey this episode was. We started with the crushing weight of Aniya's public humiliation, that physical manifestation of shame, getting the emotional bends on the floor of soul ties. We unpacked the staggering hypocrisy of Melanie's perfect advice while she remained trapped in her own sunk cost fallacy with Sincere. We analyzed the dark, covert manipulation of Zach's love bombing and contrasted it with the explosive physical catharsis of the Hot Girl Bakery Challenge. And finally, we watched the producers drop the ultimate bomb of audience karma by bringing back Carl and Amora.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's so easy to judge these people. It's easy to sit on our couches and say, you know, I would never let a guy treat me like Sincere treats Melanie, or I would never cry on the floor over a guy I knew for 3 weeks. But the truth is, these behaviors, deflection, staying in bad relationships because you've already invested so much time, the visceral sting of rejection, these are universally human experiences.
Exactly. The villa doesn't invent these behaviors, it just amplifies them. It strips away the distractions of normal life and puts human frailty under a massive, brightly lit microscope. The names and the swimsuits might change, but the psychology is the same stuff playing out in offices, bars, and living rooms all over the world.
Which leaves us with a final, rather provocative question to consider, something we haven't touched on yet, but that sits at the very heart of this entire format. We talk about Casa Amor as a test. The producers separate the couples, introduce a dozen new attractive people, and say, let's see if your connection survives.
Right?
But does the structure of Casa Amor, which forces people into a compressed, high-stakes, consequence-free cheating simulation, does it actually reveal a person's true underlying character? Or does it temporarily manufacture a completely different sociopathic version of them, driven purely by the fear of missing out and the intoxication of absolute freedom?
Wow. Are we seeing who they really are? Or are we seeing a monster created by the laboratory? That is a thought that is going to keep me up tonight. And the scariest part is, maybe even the Islanders themselves don't know the answer.
I suspect they don't. And that ambiguity is exactly why we can't look away.
So true. But before we go, Snark Squad, we want to hear from you. Get in the comments or slide into our DMs. Which love horoscope matched your chaos best this week? Did you go to a sports bar and watch the World Cup this weekend? And more importantly, what is your go-to sports bar order? Are you team mozzarella sticks or team wings? And finally, which couple are you actually rooting for, or are they all completely bankrupt?
We need your takes.
Thank you so much for joining us on this gossip session. Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a 5-star review, and share this podcast with another messy babe in your life. Stay flirty, stay chaotic, and we'll see you on the Snark side.